such a pleasure now. I'm going to bring up to the stage three very important people from the Breakers, and I'm going to have them come up as soon as the chairs are ready for us. And you will meet Mr. Garrett Kirk, Mr. Paul Leone, and Denise Bober. And I'm going to tell you about Denise as we're coming up. I think we just have one more chair. Denise Bober, first of all, she has been here at the Breakers for 29 years, which is hard to imagine. She barely looks that age. And she's the HR person here. And she was with us in Mexico City, and she was also with us in Austria. And it was, she's the one that spoke about workplace wellness at our summits, and we were amazed. We had heard that they have an amazing program here, but after hearing from her and a little bit more about the commitment here, I think you'll find that it is truly extraordinary. So may I please have Mr. Kirk and Mr. Leone and Denise Bober to the stage. I know. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Have a seat. Denise, you're going to introduce.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to say that I am extremely proud and honored to be here this morning with this incredible group of people to talk about this amazing, amazing organization, the Breakers. And next to me, I have these two incredible gentlemen who have not only been my bosses, but my mentors and my friends. And here is Paul Leone, our Chief Executive Officer, who has been with the organization for 33 years. And make no bones about it, this is the man behind the driving force of this culture. He uses a whip to crack us down, and it doesn't hurt. It's a soft whip like the poke, Susie. But he is the driving force, and we would not be here today without him. And then our incredible owner. Yeah. Garrett Kirk, who is our incredible owner, a member of our board of trustees, and the visionary. Garrett is the person who came to us 14 years ago and said, we need to create a culture of well-being in this organization. It is the right thing to do. The best companies in the world are doing it for their people, and we need to do it. We need to take care of our people. Taking care of our people will be taking care of our business. So with that, Susie, I have to tell you that if it wasn't for these two incredible individuals, I would not be sitting up here today telling this story. I might be telling another story, but it wouldn't be this one. So we're going to start off with Garrett. He wants to start us off to tell our incredible story.
We want to hear from you.
Louie, I love to dance. Once you dance the Argentine tango, your life is a tango. I'm going to give you a quick background on the hotel. I was a managing director at the investment banking firm of Dillon Reed and a family director of the Flagler system. Frank Keenan, our chairman and CEO at the time, asked me to join him for lunch at the Essex House on Central Park South in New York City with Bill Marriott and Gary Wilson. Marriott had just bought the Essex House, and he put a generous offer on the table to buy the Breakers. The message was clear. The future belonged to the chains. The day of the independent family-owned hotel was over. Get on board with the big boys. Over 30 years later, we're still in the game. How did we do it? The answer is 4 words: Jim Keenan and Paul Leone. They're our leaders. Our approach: we invest for the long term, we work as a team, and if we don't earn a return on investment, nobody gets paid. To take care of him who has borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, Abe Lincoln. I have made my mistakes along the way, but if I've changed even one life for the better, I haven't lived in vain. Muhammad Ali. If we are to work out a satisfactory system of profit sharing as a means of reconciling capital and labor, it can only be done by reducing the return to capital and the purveyors of capital and letting the people who do the work, be they managers, skilled craftsmen, or day laborers, take all that is earned above a reasonable return on capital. Louis Brandeis. We live by these words. We take care of our people, we take care of our guests, we take care of our suppliers, we take care of our community, and we take care of our environment. There is one given. Our A game today is our B game tomorrow. First, we make our people better. When they're better, we make them good. When they're good, we make them very good. And when they're very good, we make them extraordinary. How do you motivate extraordinary people? You look at possibilities. What is possible? And this challenge turns me to our wellness program. An effective wellness program is the toughest challenge facing the corporate world today, and the most important benefit a company can give its employees. I'm going to repeat that. An effective wellness program is the toughest challenge facing the corporate world today, and the most important benefit a company can give its employees. For the breakers, our program allows all of us to perform at levels we never even dreamed of. What is the key to the success of our wellness program? 2 words. Denise Bober. She's our leader. Now, before I turn it over to Paul and Denise, I'm going to ask a question of the men in the room, men only, and I'll tell you why later. Will every man who can slip into a pair of pants with a 34-inch waist and knock off 50 push-ups, please stand up?
I bet there's a few. Oh, right. Thank you, thank you. And we're going to see those push-ups later, right?
Wow.
Thank you. And I would like Paul to add a little bit to what Garrett mentioned about the wellness program, and in particular some numbers, because everyone out here is always interested in how you've done this and what the results are. Or maybe I should ask Denise first.
No, Paul can.
Okay, Paul, go ahead.
Okay.
Paul's the accountant. He's got
Oh yeah, then I'm asking the right person
You're
about
asking
that.
the right
Original
person.
bean counter. Listen, first, Susie, I've been here 33 years, as you reported, Denise reported. I have experienced in those 33 years almost 15,000 conferences at this property. And I promise you, I can't think of one that's more important than this conference. We're so happy you're here.
Wow, thank you. Thank you.
And I know you know this, Denise hunted you down, stalked you for a couple of years. We're so grateful to Denise for leading, and Garrett's absolutely right. She is the leader of the wellness effort. But let me start at the end and then come back to the sort of beginning real quick, because I do think the facts are really important so that this isn't just pie in the sky. And 2 different sort of ways of looking at this. And one will tie to a story Garrett talked about in New York, and the other more recent. But the Breakers is coming up on its 122nd year of business. We are a company that is one of only 1,100 100-year-old companies in the hands of the same family owners in the country. Talk about sustainability and durability. The Breakers is the oldest continuously operating business in the great state of Florida, and the only large, to Mr. Marriott, who's a wonderful man, but he was wrong, the only large historic luxury resort in the country still in the hands of its original owners. Really a credit to the Keenan family. And it's not just because of what's obvious, this beautiful, blessed place we get to do business in. There's so much more to the story. So here are the facts. When we look at our business, we like to measure our results using a balanced scorecard. Some of you are familiar with this. And for us, that scorecard starts with team member satisfaction, employee satisfaction, which drives guest satisfaction, which drives financial performance, and if we're able to reach our financial goals, we can drive our community service and social impact efforts. 92% of 2,100 employees at the Breakers in our most recent confidential employee opinion survey, performed by the Great Place to Work organization, the leading organization in this field, told us that the Breakers is a great place to work and that they are proud to work here. That is the most important measurement of our success, the driver of everything we do. And that leads to best-in-class employee engagement and employee retention, which drives best-in-class guest satisfaction. We get about 17% of our guests give us feedback, which by industry standards, I'm told, is best-in-class. And today, I can tell you, we're still developing this, but with a net promoter score of 73, I think that was it, that is considered best in class. On the financial front, our return on equity, for those of you that are familiar with financial terms, over the last 20 years, really this mission has been underway for the last 20 of the 122 years of this company's great history. This change in philosophy. The philosophy being that this isn't just about business, it's about life. And it's not about making a profit, it's about making a difference. And so your theme, Living a Well Life, couldn't be more appropriate for you holding this event at the Breakers. Financial performance, 11% return on equity over 20 years after tax return on equity. Our revenue per available room is $200 more per room than our comp set, which, ladies and gentlemen, is a $40 million premium for a small business, the difference between us and our closest competitors. Our gross operating profit, you don't take revenue to the bottom line, our gross operating profit per occupied room is the top in the country of any hotel.
Wow.
That's been studied. And it's driven by our employee engagement. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hey, Barry.
I have to leave a couple minutes for Denise. Let me finish this out, okay? Community service, 25,000 hours put into the community this past year for a small enterprise. What has to happen in this country, it's up to the individuals and the small companies, really. There are only 5,000 publicly traded companies in this country. It's the independent private enterprise that has to deal with the social issues. We're so proud of our team for their efforts in this community. And let me end with this, because here's the key message I have. 70%, it is widely reported, of people go to work every day, and I wish I didn't have to say this on this beautiful morning, they hate their jobs. And it's not about their pay or the work they do. It's this feeling that they don't matter. And invest more in your people. It is not only the right thing to do, it is a terrific investment because our results are far better than we ever imagined and set out to achieve, because our real mission has been to make a difference. But as Garrett said, without a profit, we're not here to be able to do that. So those are some statistics.
Thank you, Paul. And so we'll have Denise give us a couple more figures that I'm looking for you to share about retention and healthcare. But Denise, you're the one that sort of sparked this 12 years ago. Tell us that story.
Yeah, so the story began again with the vision of creating a culture of well-being here in this organization. And when we first started our research to see how we were going to do that, we're talking about transforming a culture from individuals who aren't taking good care of themselves, the behavioral issues that they had with not eating well and not exercising. And that's just the start of the foundation. we did our research to say, how can we begin this transformation? And we knew that education was at the forefront. We had to educate people. We couldn't just take the french fries out of the cafeteria and say, you're going to eat healthy. It wouldn't work. I would get tomatoes thrown at me, so it would not work. And we did our research, and we were, unfortunately, underwhelmed by what we found. There wasn't a lot out there. Wellness was not part of the corporate world. As we can see by the balls, it's still behind with $4.3 billion out of a $3.7 trillion industry, and we've got to get that up because that's where it starts in the organizations. We have to take care of our people in the organizations. We spend most of our time at work. So when we found something that we thought would be, ideal for this organization, it was the Human Performance Institute. And you all have heard me speak about the Human Performance Institute. You're going to hear more from them. But it was really that educational foundation where we taught our people how to take care of themselves from a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. And when we're talking spiritual, it's not religious. It's really honing into your core values and beliefs and making sure that the organization that you work for also hones into your core values and beliefs. So we started small but big because the first group that went to the Human Performance Institute was the executive committee members. And I have to tell you, we did get some kicking and screaming going up there. And part of the process is that you face the truth, and you have to learn about your body composition. And back then, we used a bod pod. If any of you have ever seen a bod pod, it looks like a capsule, like an egg. And you have to put a Speedo on and get into it. So our vice president of sales and marketing, he just really loved me for having him get into a Speedo, into the bod pod and getting his body mass index taken. But it worked, and our team came back from the Human Performance Institute. I remember that night after we attended the first day, and Paul saying, this is going to transform our lives, this program. And that was the start of it. That was the kick. And we brought it back into the organization, and we learned how to teach it, how to facilitate it. Over 1,000 people later, 10 years later, and we've got this organization where 98% in a recent survey told us that we have an organization that cares about the well-being of our employees and their families.
And it's remarkable, and I think it's interesting for us to recognize that it took time. And it's so visionary of you to see right from the beginning it was about a culture of well-being, not just putting in programs, which is where I think we are finding a lot of the corporations are. So tell us about employee retention rates and healthcare costs.
So our employee retention is best in class in the hospitality industry. It's 82%, which is remarkable in hospitality. And we're very proud of that, and I have to tell you, that wasn't always the story. Back 30 and 33 years ago, it was over 100% turnover in this organization. So that was the challenge we faced when we first started here. So 82% retention, and a recent 5-year study of the medical trend was that the national average was 9 to 10%, and our medical trend average was 3.2%. And that was using the same cohort over the same 5 years.
So even though that wasn't the reason you started all this, these are some of the results. And we're lucky to hear about this because there are very few programs that have been going on for 10, 12 years. And I just wanted to mention that the program, the Human Performance Center, I was happy to go through that this summer. And it is an unusual program. You'll hear more about it. And one of the things that makes it unusual is that there's so much emphasis on purpose. And I think that's a real distinction between everything else. So I wanted to thank you, and I just want to say something I wrote in an email that you may or may not have seen a long time ago, is that even though we have great speakers and a lot of content here, if all you do is come and experience this wonderful property and feel the culture of wellness here, it will have been worth coming here to the summit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.